Hi there, it's Jo here from Creative Empowerment. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited about today's video. It is all about Oracle cards and my collection, which has grown so much from the last one I made in 2019. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jo and my channel and my business is called Creative Empowerment. Run a business so that I can help other people feel empowered about who they are, all while learning myself. I read tarot, I do healings, and I run workshops. So if you are interested in any of those things, then you might like to subscribe down below. If not, you might like to watch this video and make your mind up. Anyway, today I'm going to show you my Oracle card collection, which I made a video in 2019, and I really enjoyed doing it. And today I felt like this was a bit more hard work, and I kept putting it off because I wasn't seeing the joy in it. So I started taking some bushflower essences to help me with that overwhelm and the feeling of, making it more manageable for me and actually really enjoying it, because I love playing with Oracle cards. And if you do too, you might enjoy this video as well. Thanks for being here. Let's get stuck into the cards for today. So we're going to start down one end and then work our way through. So this deck here is one of my old favorites, and I probably don't use it as much anymore. This is the Enchanted Map Oracle deck by Colette Baron-Reid. If you want a really good view of this, then check out my old video from 2019. These cards are great. They have been updated, so if you're looking at my deck thinking that you might have an earlier version of this, a later version of this, because this has been updated by Hay House and Colette Baron-Reid. So I'll flip through a few cards for you. It's a great deck for beginners. If you're looking for one that covers a lot of topics, it's great. The imagery is fantastic. We've got all these wonderful things to, get your intuitive eye focused on and allow it to, to sort of delve into the imagery and take you somewhere, which is something that I love about Oracle cards. One of my favorite reasons for using them. So like I said, if you want to have a little bit of a longer look at this, check out my older version of this video. This is a fairly new one for me, Zodiac Moon Reading Cards by Patsy Bennett, and this is a rock pool Oracle deck, and it's all about moon in Cancer, moon in Aries, moon in Libra, eclipse in Capricorn, so it's moons, sun, so there's all the zodiac with what the sun in those signs means, and then what the moon in those signs means, as well as what an eclipse in those signs mean. Now, these are really quite good cards. I haven't started using them a lot, but now that I'm looking at them, I'm thinking to myself, I really do need to start using them a bit more, and I wanted to get them to teach myself. I love astrology, but I am a student of astrology, so I am still learning. My next cards have probably got the worst back. These are James Van Prague's Soul Journey lesson cards, and these are the kind of cards that you either are into or you're not. However, I do find them, because they are a concept-based card, so regret, forgiveness, health, I find that I use them quite a lot, particularly for pick-a-card readings, not always as much with clients. So these gorgeous gold cards here were a gift. These are Ascended Masters cards, Doreen Virtue, so they're old cards by Hay House. These are great cards. I didn't think I would actually enjoy them and like them. And for some people, you may not enjoy them. The concepts sometimes can feel a little bit limiting, but if you're able to open up to them and see sort of what's in the cards, then you'll definitely get some more out of these cards than you might think in the beginning. So yeah, I do enjoy using these cards, and I do use them a lot in my private readings as well as my pick-a-card readings. I kind of want to go here next. I don't know why, but I do. So these are Rochelle Charman, and they are from Rockpool, and they are shaman cards. They're called Crystal Medicine Oracle. These cards are a little bit of heavy hitting sometimes, I do feel. So the concepts, the concepts are fine, but they just seem to have this very deep energy about them. So I don't use them a lot, but I do use them when I'm, when I'm called to, and occasionally I use them in my pick a card readings. I actually really enjoy using these cards, but I do find that not everybody's up for the energy of these cards. So that's another great deck. Next one we have is one of my favorites for reading, private readings. I use this one a lot. This is Spellcasters Oracle Cards, a 48 card deck and guidance guidebook by Flavia Kate Peters, Barbara Micklejohn Free. So these cards are great because they've got one word and then a really gorgeous image. So they're similar to the map cards and the next cards that I'm going to talk about here. But they're newer for me, and they're kind of, I don't know, they've just got some, they've got a more of a modern feel, I suppose, is how I look at them. They do, sometimes they do challenge me, because sometimes the imagery isn't exactly where I'm going when I'm looking at the words. So there's sometimes a disconnect for me, but I think that just helps me as a reader, because it makes me not blanketly assume I know what that card means every single time, because each reading is always different, and that person's energy needs to be taken into consideration as well. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that this is one of my favorite decks, the Wisdom of the Oracle, and I've now retired this, not the greatest back, but I've now retired this deck, and it's now only for personal readings for me, because I have such a connection with it. This, again, like the previous Colette Baron-Reid deck that I've shown, has been updated, and I don't have the updated version, and maybe I might get that as one to use in my readings. But it is one of my favorites. Really great, beautiful imagery that really unlocks lots of conversation with the cards, and I really love it. But I do have a longer video that I'll link in the description box below if you're interested in seeing that deck more so, because I don't want to get stuck on one. This is another favourite of mine, but I don't use it nearly as much. This is the Medicine Cards by Jamie Sams and David Carson. And these are all about animals. It's very much about North American, South American and Indigenous cultures' beliefs around animal spirits. And they are just divine to work with. They are very deep. They're a little bit like the Crystal Shaman cards, that you're going that bit deeper. They're also, the imagery is not as easy to connect with, I don't find. But again, I've done another longer video of these, so if you're interested, you can go ahead and watch that. And this is one of my first decks, because I was so fearful that these were the only sort of cards that I could connect with or connect to. Even though I really longed for cards, I couldn't touch them because I was so fearful. These are I Can Do It cards by Hay House, and they are by the beautiful Louise Hay. And they are, affirmation cards, and they have two different versions on the back. They're bright, they're colourful, and they're light, and they're very good for you if your mental health is not the best, which is why I use them daily. Our next deck is another Rock House one. It is Flowers of the Night Oracle. And these are similar to the Medicine cards and the Crystal Shaman cards. They go that bit deeper. The imagery, again, here is not the easiest to connect with. These are Cheryl and Darcy, and she has made this imagery. Other people might find that they can connect with these on a deeper level, but I find that there are times when they challenge me. But I used to use them a lot more than I do now. I do like them. They are very super shiny now that I'm playing with them again. They've got a lot of shininess going on here. But they do serve a purpose. I love working with flowers and the energies of flowers. The next deck is Goddesses and Sirens, and this was something that I was, gifted in a way, and I don't like this imagery. It's not my cup of tea, but it is a very powerful deck. So Stacey DeMarco and Jimmy Lyons, Goddess and Sirens, Blue Angel Publishing house, and I just love it. The the guidebook is too extensive for me. Goes on way too much, but I do love learning about the goddesses and hearing their stories and learning. So I use these cards more than I thought I ever would, and they have become, you know, become quite a treasured deck of mine. But I don't like the imagery. It's not my cup of tea. These are quite old for me, but I rarely use them, and I'd put them away to use with workshops and groups. So I actually don't really use these cards at all. It is Gabrielle Bernstein's The Universe Has Your Back. And these are kind of like your Hay House. And I think they're Hay House too, but they're like Louise Hay. You know, they're very much Louise Hay repackaged and made into the 2020s version of it, or the 20s version. There's nothing wrong with them. They don't float my boat, really. I think that's what I get out of them. When I bought them at the time, I thought I was going to love them, and I think I did for a little while, but I don't know, they're a little bit one-dimensional, and I know that everybody else won't. Not everybody will agree with that. The next deck is Sacred Power Reading Cards by Anna Stark. Some of my all-time favourites. I don't use them nearly as much as I used to, but they're great. They've got really great imagery, beautiful, easy you know, concepts to work with. She really goes through quite a lot of different concepts in these cards. Great card for beginners. She does the guidebook. These are rock pool. The guidebook is fabulous. Not too much information, a color image, a really good deck for people beginning. I know you can't see the ones I'm reaching up for, but there's only a few up the top there. Some more of my favourites. I know I'm probably going to repeat myself quite a bit in this video, but it is all about me expressing my heart. These are the Druid Animal Oracle by Philip and Stephanie Cargom, and they're illustrated by Will Worthington. So these are fabulous, by Simon & Schuster, and these are fabulous. The imagery is just divine. They give you such a place to go with your intuitive eye, opening up the ideas, the myths, the legends of the Druids, and how they taught animals about animal spirit messages and what those animals meant. There's lots of fables, there's lots of wisdom. The guidebook is fantastic. Again, if you'd like to know more about this deck, because it is one of my favorites, I will link everything in the description below, so you can watch longer videos of my favorite ones. And if you would like me to do a particular deck, then let me know. And I haven't done any of those for a long time. So the next one is another animal spirit oracle deck, and it's a very popular one, so you've probably seen it before. This is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit by Kim Kranz. Again, a real favorite of mine. Beautiful imagery. That's all hand done by Kim. She has really allowed her intuitive and artistic self to, you know, explode, implode, I don't know. She's also got tarot cards, which I still haven't got. I am amassing a tarot collection as well, but they're just divine. I don't use them as much as I used to, but they were on constant rotation for me. Lots of colour, as well as a strong black and white. Really great cards. I would say that they're suitable for a beginner too, because the guidebook is really great. The next set of cards are fairly new to me. I had to buy these second hand, which I don't really do with many of my decks. Sacred Path cards. The Discovery of the Self Through Native Teachings by Jamie Sams. And these are by the same author, but not exactly, because there's only one of them, as the Medicine cards. These again are really heavy hitting cards. These are not for the beginner. These are going deep. These are really good for some shadow kind of work for yourself. And I'm still only just touching the you know, scraping the top of these cards. They're so deep and so much going on here that I really haven't given them their due yet, but I will. And I love the back. I love the symbolism, and the guidebooks of these are fabulous. The next cards are some more Australian flower cards, so by Cheryl and Darcy. I do love my flower cards. So this is flannel flower on the back here, and as I said before, that Sherilyn does all of her own imagery, and they are beautiful. And these images I am a bit more in love with, because they've got well, I suppose the dark ones, they're the night version of it, whereas this is the daylight version. So these are Australian bush flowers. And I work with Australian bush flowers as well, so I really do love these. I love that one too. You know, the imagery, some of the imagery just takes you somewhere, and that is the best kind of imagery for oracle cards, in my opinion. So I think I may have done, I'm not sure actually if I've done a longer version of that, but if you'd like to see that, let me know. Or I will link it in the description if I have. This is another one of my very first decks, and I actually really love this card. Look how bright is it? It's just stunning. I am connected to all life, and these are another Hay House one. These are called wisdom cards, these ones, and so then they have a saying or something on the back. I can either help to destroy the planet or heal it. Every day I choose to send loving, healing energy to the planet. What I do with my mind does make a difference. So they're a little picture, and then they've got a saying on the back. And look, these for me were sanity keepers, and I would pull one for the day and it would help me with my state of mind. I am safe and secure in my world, and those words meant a lot to me. And the energy of these decks, while they're a lot older now, they're very present in the work. So you know, if you're interested, I don't know if you can still even buy them anymore. Now, where am I going? I'm coming to the center. Now, these are, well, fairly new to me. They are the Green Witch Oracle by Cheryl and Darcy. So you can see that I've got quite a few of Sherilyn's Oracle decks, and I just love these. They are flowers, fruits, garden. Sherilyn is a gardener, and I just love botanical stuff. But this, some people may find it challenging. Leadership. You know, it gives you a word, it gives you broccoli, which you might think, broccoli, how do I interpret that? But you'll find that if you allow yourself to open up, that you will. It gives you a star sign, usually some other symbols that you can then take. You know, you've got other symbols here, and then sometimes there's also, you know, some sort of depiction of something like a candle with the cauliflower. And we've got Cancer, number 11. So you're utilizing all of the things on the image. But these probably are not beginners cards. But I do love them, and I use them in both my pick a card readings on this channel as well as my personal readings. Some old ones for me. Angel Prayers cards by Kyle Gray, a Hay House deck. And I think I said in my last video, I don't love this imagery. It's very computer generated. There's nothing wrong with that. However, it's just a little bit stilted. You know, it's very stuck for me. And that's just, again, that's a personal opinion. I do use these cards, and there are some that I really love. But, you know, all in all, it's probably a deck that I don't utilize as much. And I love working with angels and angel energy. But this probably is not my cup of tea when it comes to imagery again. And I'm finding that I'm being way more, way more honest in this one. I'm a people pleaser, or a recovering people pleaser. So I do try, you know, sometimes I go overboard in making sure people feel good and not myself. And I'm recovering, as I said. So here we have Archangel Michael cards by Doreen Virtue, Hay House again. Actually, my first ever set of Oracle cards. And again, this message was for someone who was very fearful. These cards are very gentle but have a very firm feeling about them. So the messaging, God is in charge. Prayer will help this situation. Ask Archangel Michael to help you with this situation. The person you're asking about is trustworthy. So they talk to you in a very kind of blunt manner. And when you're not feeling that good about yourself, this can be helpful. God is in charge that keeps coming up. But yeah, an old deck, lovely gold gilt on the side, or gilding, whatever you call it. So these are the Antiquities of Magick Oracle and Guidebook, Volume 1, Traditional Tarot Symbols. And they are the most divine little cards. These have been self-published by Gillian, the artist and creator. And I believe she also has a tarot deck. Again, I don't have that tarot deck. Just making this video has made me start making myself a list of the things that I think I want. Now, again, I would say these are not a beginner's, like some other people might want to argue with that point. But for me, they feel that, I don't know, there's a lot of symbology here. And I don't know, maybe if you're used to using tarot, then that's fine. But for me, they're just, again, they've gone that little bit deeper. So another animal deck for me, which is Colette Baron Reed's Animal Spirit deck. Great backing on this cards, great imagery. They are really good to use. However, I have had my challenges with them. But if I look at them overall, I think to myself, yeah, they're a good deck. But I think when I first got them, I wanted to love them, and I don't know if I did. But they're very extensive. There's a lot of animal spirits here, and there's not too much information in the guidebook. It's a good chunk of information, and you know, I think it's enough is what I want to say. But I think there was something about them that didn't do what I thought they were going to do in the beginning. But I do think overall that they're a good deck. So if you're looking for a good animal deck and you don't want to go too deep, then they're great. So another animal spirit deck by Stephen Farmer, and these are called Power Animal Oracle decks. And I've had a bit of a funny relationship with these cards too, because anyway, I was going to buy them. I didn't buy them. I had some problems buying them. When I got them, I thought they're too simplistic. And now I actually find them to be extremely useful in all my readings, because they are simple, but they sort of open themselves up. And I don't know exactly how they do that, but for me, they do. So I am finding that I use these a lot with all readings that I do. And they are an older deck, Hay House. This next deck, beautiful backing, is from Denise Lynn. And I love Denise Lynn. I have several of her books, but this is the first of her oracle cards that I've had. And these are called the Sacred Forest Oracle. Hay House, I think. The feel is beautiful of these cards, and I love this imagery. There's a little bit too cartoony with a few of them, but for the most part, like this one, the reference to Tinkerbell is a bit too strong, I think, but some of them are beautiful and divine, and they really evoke some gorgeous things happening. And I haven't been using them all the time, so they're still very new to me, but I do feel like there'll be something that I do use more of, and I find them to hold really beautiful. Now another Hay House deck and another Colette Baron Reed Oracle of the Seven Energies. And if you watch my old one of these, you'll see that I didn't particularly love these when I first got them. They have grown on me, and I do use them quite a lot. They're simple. They've got a statement, but the way that these cards have been designed is for seven energies, and I don't actually get that usage from them. So they're designed with chakras in mind, and I honestly don't see that connection when I use these cards. However, I do find that for the most part that the imagery and the wording is enough to get something happening for me. But there are challenging cards within some of these as well. But if you're going to use them with the guidebook, I'm sure that you'll find that these cards will be quite easy to use with the guidebook. But I'm in the state of my journey now where I might use the guidebook for a short term, and then I move on from that. These are some of my favourites, but also some of the least used, because not everyone is up for these energies. Also, the imagery is not my favourite. These are the Celtic Tree Oracle by Sharilyn Glow. I'm sorry, I did not say your name very well then. And these are Blue Angel Publishing. I love trees, I love plants, so these are important to me, and I have Druid Celtic kind of roots, so that again is important to me. The thing about these cards is the energy of the card and the tree is, it knocks you out of the park sometimes, you know what I mean? So how specific and how spot on, but you need to use the oracle, the guidebook. As I was just saying, I don't often do that. With these, the oracle, sorry, with these, as beautiful Heather, the guidebook is super important about learning to use these cards, because the imagery, for me, doesn't have a massive connection, but I do love them. The next deck is another Hay House deck. It is another Colette Baron-Reid, so you've figured out by now that I'm quite a Colette Baron-Reid fan. Probably sort of moving away from that now, but have been a massive Colette Baron-Reid fan. So if you're an Avalon fan, then you may enjoy these. So they're Wisdom of the Avalon Oracle cards by Colette Baron-Reid. And Colette is very good at creating oracle decks. She uses structure to them, even though I just said with the other one that I didn't find the structure was useful. With this, there are animals, there are places, there are people, there are concepts like trust. They're quite a good deck. It's for general purposes. These used to be very much on high rotation with me. Probably not so much now, but I do love using them, and I will get them out. And as always, Colette Baron-Reid is excellent when it comes to guidebooks. They're just the right amount of content. Some gilding on the sides, as you can see. Then we have this set of, what are they? Earth Warrior Oracle by Alana Fairchild. And this is my only Alana Fairchild Oracle deck, even though I've had another. I gifted it to somebody else. And these cards are challenging for me. I love the concepts and I love what they're about. I find that Alana Fairchild writes way too much stuff, so that challenges me with her cards. But this imagery I love, but I don't find that I make it an easy, seamless connection with it, but I'm getting there. So I just love that card and that last one. Like, they're beautiful images, and I am making more of a connection with this imagery and with the medicine and with the concepts. So perhaps it's a growth for me using these cards. I think I've made another video with these cards, how to use them or something like that. So I'll put that here as well. But, you may, in the comments below, you may have had a better reaction, or you may use them more than I do. The next set of cards are Sacred Spirit reading cards by Anna Stark. I do love Anna Stark's work, and these cards used to challenge me a lot. There are lots of really deep, dark imagery here, lots of shadow work, and they weren't as palatable to me in the beginning as her earlier deck that I do have, which are the Sacred Power cards. But having said that, there's some really great concepts in here, and like I said before, Anna Stark is great at giving you just the amount of information that you need for what you're working on. So this is Kyle Gray, Angels and Ancestors, Oracle Cards and Guidebook, and a Hay House. And this deck is one that I don't use as much as others. There are some images that I just think are divine and take me places. And then there are images like the summer image where they just don't do it for me. The arrow, there are times when I get things from them, but yeah, I don't use these with a lot of people. I use them maybe in the pick of cards and at times, but they just, I don't know. There's some challenging ones in there for me personally. But other cards which I love, like I love that lady. I think it's based on Lady Nada or Lady Gaia. And, they're beautiful, but not all of them. So these are Doreen Virtue's Archangel cards. And I can't remember if I bought these or if I got these gifted to me as well. But actually, I've used these a lot. Again, in the early days when I really needed very gentle energy, angels are amazing to work with. And if you're someone who does have some, low self-esteem or mental health issues, working with the angels is something that is just gentle. And it is, nice energy. People might cringe at that word nice, but if you're in a bad way, you sometimes need that kind of energy. So I really have used these cards a lot, and I still do, not all the time, but I do regularly use them still. Then we're coming into Carol and Miss Archetype cards. These, I think my daughter gave them to me, and they're great cards. I have not really begun to work with them enough yet. They're really deep. When I say deep, they're about archetypes, and you can go really deep with archetypes. I don't think that the book actually, or the guidebook, really does go that deep. And I think your own work you could dive off here and go deeper, and lots of shadow work, things like that. And I'm really yet to find a place in my work where these fit in that well. But I like having them because they're a great reference if I need them. This is a fairly new deck for me called Elements, Oracle Cards by Michelle Kingston. She is a local reader near where I live, and she has done several other Oracle decks which I don't own. And these particular ones, what I was really interested in is the refraction of the imagery, because I think she calls them energy portals, and I totally agree. I don't even know if I take any notice of this, but I do take notice of the imagery and where it sort of takes me and what it brings to my mind. So, if you were going to use these as a simple card like the Hay House wisdom cards, you could definitely do that, divinity, and that has the thing here. But if you wanted to use them to go deeper into your mind's eye or your psychic vision, I think these are going to be really good for that. And I can't believe that I'm already at my last one. So my last deck of cards here are Dreamtime reading cards, and these are some of my favorites, but I don't always use them. By Laura Bowen, and these are obviously Aboriginal artworks, I think by Laura, and they are connecting with the ancient spirit of nature and of Australia. And these are really gorgeous. They are by Rockpool, and Rockpool are some of my favourite types of oracle cards because they're nice. I think the card is too big. I have particularly small hands, and so they're a bit big for my hands, but I do love their guidebooks, and I think the cards are made of good stock. So a really good deck. She also has some other ones, I think, which I think I've tried to get the saltwater reading cards, and they've always been out of stock. So yeah, I haven't been able to get those. And funnily enough, I actually missed one out, so I'm having to add this in later. This is the Druid Plant Oracle, and it's one of my favourites by Philip and Stephanie Carr-Gregg. And you can see that it's, again, we've got lots of plants going on, plants and animals. Gorgeous, gorgeous imagery from Will Worthington, I think his name is, Simon and Schuster. And it's just divine. Like, these images take you places. And the other thing is about this beautiful deck is you learn so much while you're discovering this plant imagery about the Druids, about what was sacred to them and how they used these plants. I love it. I still learning lots and lots with this particular deck. So just divine. Mistletoe, I think that one is, yeah. So these are all Northern Hemisphere plants, so things that I'm not that familiar with, but I really do have quite affinity with the Celtic and Druidic traditions. So I love learning from them. And yeah, I wanted to add this one in because it is a favourite. I hope you have enjoyed my Oracle deck. I'm sorry, I am doing this by hand. video, it's quite different from my last one. I've tried to open my heart up and shared with you the things that I really enjoy about Oracle cards, and I'll stop moving because I might be making you sick. I do love working with Oracle cards. There's lots here. It's been a good thing getting them out to show you, because I'm going to cleanse them all now and give them all a fresh start into the year. So thank you for being here. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you've enjoyed this video and if you've made it all the way to the end. If you would like to be in the running for a private reading, then follow me over on Facebook, where I am going to be giving away a free reading each week, which I haven't started yet. So when this video goes up, that will be the start of it. I post all my pick a card readings, and I'm going to be doing lots more Oracle work. Have lots of things in the process and ready to get started. If you'd like a private reading, there is a link in the description box below. Now, I've just been cleansing all my decks after I've been filming this, and this is a deck that I particularly said wasn't one that I found that great. And while I've been cleansing it, and it did need a bit more cleansing because I used it at a time in my life where there was a lot more deep, yucky stuff going on in my life. And I saw this card, which I don't even think I've ever seen before, spiritual support. And it is about having more spiritual support around you and expressing your creativity. So my guides, my angels, everybody above, thought it was a little bit hysterical that they might show me, that I actually do need these cards, and that perhaps they're ones that have got more to give than I have really understood yet. Anyway, I just did want to share that with you.